this together. Psalm 90. The years of our life are 70, or even by reason of strength, 80. Yet their span is but toil and trouble. They are soon gone, and we fly away. Who considers the power of your anger and your wrath according to the fear of you? Teach us to number our days, that we may get a heart of wisdom. Psalm 90, 10 through 12, you may be seated and make yourself comfortable. Good morning, church family. I'm Mike Clowers. I'm a 7-year tenured elder here at Grace. I've been able to ride the waves of our adventure over the last 4 years. And good job, guys. Good job. Good work. It's on you to bring 2 churches together. You've done it, and we're just so proud of you. Stay in it. Stay after it. You know, I'm honored to be part of the Summer of Psalms today, and we're going to look at the only psalm that was written by Moses. And as such, it is the oldest psalm in the collection. So while you're getting settled in, I've got mine out. Go ahead and pull your phone out. Just go ahead and pull that phone out. You're gonna have it out some point anyway during the message, so just go ahead and pull it out. Actually, I was wondering, could you maybe scan this QR code? All right. All right, and if you don't know what this is, find somebody that's scanning it next to you and say, help me out. It's kind of become a cool tool, these QR codes, and just to prove to you that you can teach an old dog a new trick, I wrote this app for this message for you with the help of ChatGPT. Just saying. But listen, I want each one of you to be able to personalize what Moses is trying to get through to us in Psalm 90 today. So you can click on Calculate My Days, and then where it says July 2026, you just enter. You can hard code with a 2-digit month, date, and 4-digit year, or you can scroll and find your birthday. And then you hit Calculate My Days. Everybody got it? So here's what's going to happen. Moses told us that, some of us are going to get 70, some of us are going to get 80, some of us are going to get a lot more, some of us are going to get a lot less. But here's a way for you to tell. Now, here's my data, so you can look at me, and you'll know right away that Mike is a geezer. I'm 67 years old, just turned 67. And 1 month, so I'm climbing the ladder, man. I tell you, I have lived 24,520 days. Where did they go? As you're looking at your number of days lived in that app, are you saying to yourself, where did they go? All right, and then look at my journey to 70, the little graph at the bottom. I'm 96% there. 3 years. I'm going to be like uber geezer. So, and then to 80, like 84%. It's just like, what happened? I got 1,000 days till I turn 70. That's just 3 Christmases from now. I'll be probably with a cane. Who knows, right? But here's the deal. The CDC for the state of Arkansas, we're ranked 44th out of 50 in life expectancy. Sorry about that news. But the number is 73.9 years. The average life expectancy of an Arkansan. That's just not long enough for me. But here's the bottom line. If you just graduated high school, you're moving into your college life, maybe just at that, 20s there, 25% of your life is gone. Think about that. And how many of you will be taking a college student to a campus and dropping them off this fall? There's some of you. Oh, yeah, I'm feeling your pain now. I'm telling you. 'Cause here's the reality. When you drop that kid off to college campus, you've had 95% of the time with them that you will have in their entire life. 95%. If you've got a parent that's 75, 80, I mean, you're literally looking at somewhere between 0 and 5 Thanksgivings left to go with them. Just kind of adds some gravity to it, doesn't it? Well, to help us, 34,000 or 3,400 years ago, Moses, standing in the desert, watching the generation die around him, wrote Psalm 90. And he said, our days, if we're lucky, 70, maybe 80, if our strength endures. Arkansas, 73.9. Moses wrote one psalm. I mentioned that. It's not a triumphant one. It's a song about a God who is infinite, about humans who are fragile, brief, but he also told us we have a purpose that we can fulfill. And this psalm talks about how easy it is for us to sin and how God is so gracious to make a way for us through that. So if you've ever felt small or tired, or maybe the years are getting away faster after you look at that app this morning, this psalm is written for you. And where does Moses start? Moses starts right here. Lord, you've been our dwelling place. From everlasting to everlasting, you are God. Moses anchors this entire psalm in this truth that God is eternal. It was spoke from this platform this morning. God is time. He doesn't know time like we do. And before he says a word about our human frailty, he is deliberately talking about the foundation that must exist in your mind. The point that Moses is making is that our lives have a beginning and an end. God does not. God does not. Key words like in all generations, throughout every era of human history, God has been there. Before the mountains were born, creation is younger than God. So Moses at the beginning of this psalm is reaching for something that captures the reality that God is older than anything we know, right? Anything we can point to. And that for generations, he's been a home, a dwelling place where his people can go. So we begin this psalm with an eternal God who has been faithful across every generation. That's the foundation. But if God is that steady and that sure and that good, why does life feel sometimes so stinking crushing? Why do our years just feel so short sometimes, so heavy? Moses doesn't skip it in the psalm. He spends some time showing us what it's about. Psalm 90, verse 3 and 4 says, return to dust. That's a key back to Genesis 3, where you came from, right? And a reminder that there is a curse that we must deal with, that God deals with on humanity. And then he says we're like grass. It's like that beautiful stand of Bermuda at 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, and by 7 o'clock at night, it's screaming for water. It's over, it's withered. And then again, verse 7 and 8, looking back at the curse, for we are brought to an end by your anger, your wrath were dismayed. You've set our iniquities before you, the secret sins, the things we don't even talk about. They're all before God. He sees them, and his wrath will not tolerate it because he is a holy, eternal God. And Moses, really what he's saying here is that these aren't metaphors. What he actually says is these are diagnoses. Our brevity is not an accident, it's a consequence. Moses doesn't allow us to treat our mortality as simply the way things are. He says, you want to know why human life is this way? It's because of sin. And a holy God cannot tolerate sin, even the secret ones that no one knows about. See, death is judicial. It's the consequence of sin meeting a holy God. When verse 10 gives us that arithmetic, cold arithmetic, 70 years, 80 years, yet their span is but toil and trouble. They are soon gone and we fly away, Moses said. Now, this is not despair. It's not intended to be pessimistic, not intended to make you panic. It's really the most honest diagnosis of the human condition that Moses could write about. See, our lives are not just short, they're weighted by sin and its consequences, the toil and trouble of verse 10, not merely a struggle of circumstances in our lives. It's the deep ache of a life under the long shadow of what we've done, what we have left undone, and what's happened to us. So here we are. Moses is like, you're brief, you got a burden, you're standing before a God whose holiness exposes every secret sin. And if Psalm 90 ended at verse 11, right, I think we would be panicked, but it continues. Moses says the next important move is to remember to stop pretending that your days are not numbered. Your days are numbered. Look at your neighbor and say, your clock is ticking. What Moses is calling us to is to live our life with intentionality. Say that word with me, intentionality. There you go. See, Moses says, don't be obsessed with death. Instead, be sober and intentional about the life you have. Moses' point here, he gives us the purpose. What's the purpose? That we may get a heart of wisdom. We need a heart of wisdom. See, here's what Moses knew. You can't add days to your life, but God can add life to your days. So, Proverbs 9 and 10, says, fear of the Lord is the beginning of what? That's right. So, gaining a heart of wisdom is a lifelong journey of aligning our lives with God's will and His purpose, to grow in spiritual maturity, and to conform more and more to the image of Christ. Because that is the only thing that will make your life have lasting impact. Gaining a heart of wisdom means establishing the right priorities for your life, living for what matters, counting what counts, aligning ourselves with the principles that we determine from His Word and through the discernment of the Spirit at work in our life, make life beautiful. Henry Blackaby wrote a book many years ago, probably 35 years ago. He wrote a book called Experiencing God. Anyone in here ever read Experiencing God? Great book. Changed me. God used it in my life in so many ways. But one of the things that Blackaby said was this, that God is always at work around you. And there's an open invitation, a job vacancy for you to join Him in that work. Do you remember that from Experiencing God? God is always at work around us. He is inviting you to join Him in that work. The eternal God of the universe has a job opening with your name on it. It's an invitation for you to partner with Him. And what Moses said was, maybe that's the most important thing. Let your work be shown to your servants, and your glorious power to their children. Let the favor of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish the work of our hands. There's work that we do that brings meaning to our brief, frail lives. establish that work. Establish that work. You know, over these weeks during the summer, we're promoting and letting you get in touch with areas of Grace United where maybe that's where your name is posted on that job opening. Right now we're looking, today you can explore children's ministry, student ministry, get to know what that looks like. But maybe it's there where the work that matters for you will be fulfilled. If you want to see God at work, like I've seen him at work in you guys, plug in here at Grace United. Plug in, find a place to serve, and serve the Lord with zeal and faithfulness. There was this great preacher by the name of Jonathan Edwards. When he was 19, Jonathan Edwards sat down and came up with a list of resolutions for his life. And the first one is this: resolved never to lose one moment of time, but to improve it in the most profitable way I possibly can. Listen to the gravity of that. And then is another resolution: to live with all my might while I do live. Okay, the first thing I'll say about this is he was 19 years old thinking this way. Well, were you thinking like this at 19? I wasn't. But this is a profound revelation from a young man who literally the Lord used to change the church in modern history. It was a profound awareness he had of the human standing before a holy, eternal God, and an awareness that his days were numbered. I'm going to make it count. It produced in him an urgency. It should produce in us an urgency. And it just echoes through church history. So that's what Moses was praying for as he concluded Psalm 90. Not dread, wisdom. Not paralysis, by an awareness of our numbered days, but intentionality. See, a heart that lives in light of eternity because it knows whose hands ultimately hold the days, right? Moses knew by faith this truth right here. Only the cross of Christ can satisfy what 70 years never can. See, the gospel is the answer to Moses' prayer. God sent Jesus to do the work. We could never do that work, right? Jesus Christ, the eternal Word, who was there with God at the beginning, before the mountains were born, took on flesh, entered our numbered days as a human. He lived under the full weight of toil and trouble that we know. He bore the anger and wrath of God for my sin, your sin, the world's sin at Calvary. He never sinned. He took that for us. And on the third day, God established the work of Jesus' hands, permanently, irrevocably, forever. See, we can't add days to our lives. You pull that little app out again, and you can sit there and count them, and you can't outrun your mortality. You can't outlast your sin. But you can come to Jesus, whose days are from everlasting to everlasting, and find in him that home, that dwelling place that death itself can't destroy. Yeah. So the invitation of Psalm 90 is not number your days and try harder. That's not it. Here's the invitation. Count what counts. Number your days. Run to Jesus and serve his purposes.